You've got two eyes. It seems like the most obvious fact in the world, right? But what if I told you the evolutionary story of how you see doesn't start with two eyes? It starts with a puzzle. What if the blueprint for your vision is influenced by a totally different kind of eye? A so-called third eye that our most distant ancestors had, and whose evolutionary echo is still hidden deep inside your brain. And no, this isn't a sci-fi plot. This is a real scientific mystery that unwinds over 500 million years. It's the story of how life's first interactions with light led to a bizarre and winding evolutionary journey. To piece it together, we need to travel back to a time when our ancestors looked nothing like us, and uncover a surprising link between the two eyes you're using right now, and a phantom eye that learned to tell time. And fascinatingly, recent fossil discoveries are making this story even more complex than we ever imagined. The dawn of sight before eyes, there was darkness. And in that darkness, life was mostly a chemical soup of single-celled organisms. The first step towards vision wasn't an eye, but a protein called an opsin. Opsins are incredibly sensitive to photons, the particles that make up light. When a photon hits an opsin, the protein changes shape, kicking off a chemical signal. This was the birth of light sensitivity. For millions of years, this was enough. Early life could use these simple light detectors for basic tasks, telling up from down, light from dark. This allowed swimming microbes to stay in the sunlit parts of the ocean to feed, or to sense the shadow of a threat passing overhead. As life got more complex, these light-sensitive cells started clustering together. First, into flat patches, and then into shallow cups. A cup-shaped patch was a huge advantage because it could sense the direction of light. If light hit the left side of the cup, the organism knew the source was to its right. This simple trick was the beginning of navigation, a huge leap that set the stage for one of the most dramatic events in the history of life. The Cambrian arms race around 540 million years ago, something incredible happened. In a geological blink of an eye, life exploded in diversity and complexity in an event we now call the Cambrian explosion. For decades, scientists have debated what caused it. One compelling, though still debated, idea is called the light switch theory. It proposes that the trigger wasn't a change in chemistry or climate, but the evolution of the first true, image-forming eyes. Suddenly, some animals could see others not just as shadows, but as objects. The world went from a blurry mess to a high-definition landscape of hunters and hunted. This ignited an evolutionary arms race. Predators with better eyes were more successful, and prey with better defenses, or their own sharp eyes for a quick getaway, were more likely to survive. We see this in the fossil record. Creatures suddenly show up with hard shells, spines, and complex armor. Fossils from this era, like the famous trilobites, show off incredibly advanced compound eyes. By about 520 million years ago, it's clear that vision was a powerful force, and it's right around then that our own story takes a very strange turn. A tale of multiple eyes for a long time, one hypothesis about our vertebrate ancestors suggested a strange detour. The idea was that an ancient, worm-like ancestor might have lost its side-facing eyes, while retaining a single, simple light sensor on top of its head, a median eye. Then, as our ancestors became active swimmers again, the genetic and developmental toolkit for this single eye was supposedly repurposed and expanded sideways to eventually form our two lateral eyes. It was a neat story, but science, like evolution, is constantly updating. Recent fossil discoveries have thrown a fascinating wrench in this idea. Researchers examining exquisitely preserved 518-million-year-old fossils of the earliest known vertebrates, called milliconmingids, found something astounding. These tiny, inch-long, jawless fish from the Chengjiang fossil beds in China had two large, camera-type eyes on the sides of their head, much like our own. But nestled between them, on top of the head, they found evidence for a second pair of smaller, centrally positioned eyes. The discovery of fossilized lenses and light-absorbing pigments suggests these weren't just simple light spots, they were fully functional eyes. This turns the simpler story on its head. It suggests that the ancestor of all vertebrates wasn't working with one light-sensing organ, but a whole suite of them. Our earliest known relatives had a more intricate visual system than previously thought. The two big lateral eyes were for navigating the world, but what about that other pair on top? Their destiny was to follow a completely different evolutionary path, one that would lead them deep inside the brain. The ghost in your brain, those two smaller, dorsal light-sensing organs on our earliest relatives are known as the pineal and parapineal organs. In many vertebrates today, like some lizards, lampreys, and certain fish, one of these organs still exists as a parietal eye, often called a third eye. It's a visible spot on top of their head that, while not forming detailed images, is directly sensitive to light. It helps them regulate body temperature and monitor seasonal changes in day length, acting like a built-in calendar. So what happened to this in our lineage? As our mammal ancestors evolved, this external third eye was lost. The skull bones closed over, and the organ developed not on the surface, but deep in the center of the brain. It lost its lens and retina, becoming the organ you have today, the pineal gland. For centuries, the pineal gland was a mystery. The philosopher René Descartes famously called it the seat of the soul. But its true function is just as profound. The pineal gland is a crucial part of our internal timekeeping machinery. However, it's not the master clock itself. That title belongs to a region of the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. The SCN is your body's central pacemaker. And here's where the story comes full circle. The SCN gets its information about the outside world directly from your two eyes. Specialized cells in your retinas detect the ambient light level and send a signal straight to the SCN. The SCN then acts like a conductor, sending signals throughout the body to keep our biological processes in sync. And one of its most important signals goes to the pineal gland. In response to the SCN signal that it's dark, the pineal gland produces the hormone melatonin. Melatonin doesn't force you to sleep, but it tells every cell in your body that it's nighttime. It's the chemical messenger of darkness. This is the direct, unbroken legacy of an ancient light-sensing system. While the mammalian pineal gland no longer sees light directly, its core function is still fundamentally tied to the light-dark cycle, just as it was in a jawless fish navigating the Cambrian seas over 500 million years ago. It's an incredible thought. The hormone that helps you sleep is produced by the evolutionary cousin of an ancient eye. If you're enjoying this journey through our deep evolutionary past, take a second to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We explore stories like this every week, uncovering the hidden science that connects us all. Evolution's creative recycling. This story isn't just about eyes. It reveals something fundamental about how evolution works. Evolution isn't a perfect engineer designing new parts from scratch. It's a tinkerer and a resourceful recycler. It takes old structures and gives them new jobs. An organ that once helped a lizard bask in the sun was repurposed in mammals to regulate sleep. The genetic toolkit used to build a light sensor on top of the head shares a deep history with the toolkit that builds our complex, image-forming eyes. The vertebrate retina itself is a stunning example of this. Our retinas develop as an outgrowth of our brain, which is why they seem to be built backwards compared to, say, a squid's eye. This unique arrangement is a direct consequence of this complex history, where different types of light-sensing cells, once part of separate organs, were integrated into the powerful visual system we have today. Our two forward-facing eyes give us the gift of stereoscopic, 3D vision, a critical adaptation for ancestors who may have needed to judge distances. But deep within our brains, the ghost of that ancient median eye system lives on. It doesn't see the world anymore. Instead, it measures the passing of the days, connecting our modern lives to the most ancient rhythm on Earth, the rising and setting of the sun. So, the next time you feel drowsy as evening falls, think about what's really happening. The darkness detected by your two sophisticated eyes is sending a message along an ancient pathway. That message reaches your master clock, the SCN, which in turn tells a tiny gland in the center of your brain, a gland that began its journey as a light-sensing organ on the head of one of our most distant relatives, to release the hormone of the night. You don't have a literal cyclops for an ancestor. The real story is far more intricate and, frankly, more amazing. You carry the legacy of multiple ancient eyes. Two became your windows to the world, while their ancient cousins became the clock setter within. The story of your eyes isn't a simple line from 1 to 2. It's a twisting tale of loss, repurposing, and incredible innovation, reminding us that hidden inside our modern bodies are the echoes of a very deep and very strange history.